Hey guys, Ken Stretz Tactical. So I want to talk a little bit about grip texturing or some, stippling. There's a few different things you can do. For one, there's some companies that have it right from the factory. Good example is the Glock RTF2, rough textured finish, I believe, 2. It was a Gen 3 only thing that was discontinued, but you can still get it in the Vickers Glocks that Larry Vickers did in conjunction with Lipsy's. I'm pretty sure that they have the RTF2 finish. Outside of that, I don't believe that they're available from the factory anymore. So there's a few different options. The first one I experienced personally was I sent my Gen 4 Glock to Salient Arms, and they did, the red barrel is just the cool fire trainers installed in there, but try to see if I can get the lighting in here. You can see the stipple job they did, also double undercut, and they stippled the the forward sides for your thumb or whatever. See if we can get that right on the light there. Basically, what they do is they sand the areas down, and then they take, I don't know, soldering iron for lack of a better term, and they push into the metal, and they just displace into the metal, into the plastic, and they displace the polymer, and it puts little craters in it, and it's very grippy. Some people will not like it because it's too sharp for them. So you can take some 600 grit sandpaper and just a light, on wherever the high points are. I honestly don't recommend doing that, because if you were able to, feel this texture through the camera and feel what the texture felt like when I first got it, you would see that it wears down on its own. I didn't touch mine. Mine was pretty aggressive when I got it, but now from the years of shooting it, this gun has over 26,000 rounds in whatever, a 4 or 5 year period, whatever it was. I think it was like a 4-year period. And I carried it a lot. I taught classes with it. I took classes with it. I shot matches with it. Shot it a lot. Carried it in a variety of different holsters, so it's pretty smooth now. It's more, I wouldn't say probably as smooth as like the factory, texture that's on there, but it definitely smoothed out over time. And let's think about that for a second. Before I get ahead of myself, from what I understand, you can send it back into places and have it re-stippled, because it's just re-pushing all the material around. I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked into it, and how many times can you do that, and whatever. So that is an option. But I know with a law enforcement discount, I want to say it was like $375 to get it stippled. This gun on a law enforcement blue label price was like $425. So I doubled the price of the gun just by having it stippled. Conversely, if you went to Zev with their law enforcement price, the same work, the stippling and the undercut is like $175. So big difference in price there, 50% or more than 50% cheaper. So there's, shop around, but also you want to kind of hold one that somebody else has. You don't want to just, oh, that looks cool, and get it done. You want to hold one and see what it feels like. And the other thing, again, to think about is, how's it going to feel down the road? But it was super aggressive when I first got it, and now there's texture there, but it's not like it was. What if you have a duty gun? You can't modify it, right? Even if it's yours. Some places, yep, you can have that gun after we look at it, but you can't modify it at all. So one of the things you can do, you see people put like rubber hoe grips and stuff, which I'm not a fan of. But another option are these Talon grips. They're like, I don't know, 11, 12 bucks, something like that, 15 bucks, whatever it was. And they have different versions. These are, some people call it skateboard tape, which is another thing you can do. You don't have to go out and buy actual grips designed for the gun. Talon makes these for, a whole bunch of different models. This happens to be a SIG M17 commemorative. I put a set on my Glock 22, my duty gun at work. They didn't hold up. They got beat up, probably because, it's in a duty holster, in and out of locker, in and out of cars, admin holster, duty holster, range training, rain, snow, heat, sweat, all of that. They didn't hold up. This set of Talon grips has held up pretty good. This M17 commemorative has, man, 1,700 rounds, something like that. And the first couple hundred probably I didn't have the grips on it. But I ran this in a 2-day red dot class as a student. And it rains, I don't know if it was both days, at least day 2. It was like a swamp on the range. The grips definitely got wet. I had to keep wiping the red dot off because it was filled with water. And they held up. They held up really good. I was pretty shocked. Maybe the one on my duty gun, maybe I didn't degrease them. You know, you're supposed to wipe it down with alcohol swabs. I think they come in the pack. And, you know, you get it dry and all that. And you put these on and you kind of heat it up with, you could use a heat gun, or I just use a hair dryer and press them in and do that a couple of times, whatever. But they held up pretty good during the rain on the M17. Not so much on my Glock 22 Gen 4 at work, but you know, they are replaceable, you know, versus getting a stipple job for whatever, 175, 375, depending on who you send it to, and over time it's just wearing down. This is pretty good. It's like, again, skateboard tape. It's like that stuff you'd get on a skateboard, that non-slip stuff, or the stuff you would see on stairs, and you can actually buy that stuff and put it on your stairs so you don't slip, you know, like exterior stairs that get wet and you can slip on. Another option is to have that same material that you would get in the skateboard tape. It's called silicone carbide. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's fine like sand, and it's very grippy. It's super grippy. Basically, they sand down your grip just like they would do to stipple it, and they put epoxy and they coat it in. There's different, I think, grits, kind of like sandpaper. There's different grits, G-R-I-T, grit, and this is pretty grippy. The only thing I'll tell you when you get something that's this grippy, or even stippling that's really grippy, is when you go to do a mag change. Like for me, I got small girly hands, so I kind of flip the gun in my hand so I can get my thumb to the mag release. Once it drops out, I relax my grip back to a normal grip. So when I try to do that, or just move the gun in my hand a little bit, it's kind of like stuck there. So you know, whether it's silicone carbide or the stippling. And yes, these guns are all clear for the safety Nazis. This one even has a cool fire trainer barrel in it, so it can't fire live ammunition. One of the downsides to silicone carbide, see if I can get it on the camera, may not be able to because of the lighting. You can kind of see a little bit in and out of the holster. The one that's sanding the holster down is like scrapes, like I took sandpaper to a certain spot on the holster, and the holsters actually knock some of the silicone carbide off. Definitely on that side. I think there was another spot. So that happens. And this wasn't super expensive either. This was the same price. This was done by Zev, 175-ish, something like that, with the law enforcement discount. And that was for the double undercut. You can kind of see around, you know, it's got the Surefire pressure pad here, but the double undercut and the silicone carbide, including on the forward thumb rest areas, 175-ish, something like that. And it's the same as their price for their stippling. So cheaper option than stippling from Salient. Will this hold up? I don't know. I have reservations that it might get beat up over time. And, you know, just pulling it out of the box when I first got it, some of the silicone carbide was like falling off, and the more you grip it, and like I said, in and out of holsters and stuff like that. Could they reapply it down the road? I don't know how that works, maybe. I don't know if they would have to try to sand the rest of it off and reapply epoxy or whatever, but I figured I'd give it a try, trying out this whole Roland Special, or Foland Special, because it's not really a Roland, it's a Glock 45, 9mm, but model 45. So yeah, those are a few of your options, right? So you have factory guns like the RTF Glocks, which now you can only get in the Vickers model, as I understand it. You can go the cheap route and easy to replace, but don't hold up as well. You know, got Talon grips, and I'm sure there's probably other companies out there that make them, but basically skateboard tape. You can go to a sporting goods place, get skateboard tape, or order it online and just cut it to fit. That, you know, some people used to do that back in the day with 1911s before or not even before that, you know, people would checker them. Instead of, I guess, checkering them, you could get them, take your grips off, cut it to, you know, for the front strap, and just put it on there, and guys would do that. So you can do skateboard tape. You can do stippling, which there's different levels of aggressive texturing, depending on who the manufacturer is, different pricing. But over time, it's going to wear down, especially if you carry the gun, shoot the gun a lot. And then you have the silicone carbide treatment as well. So what I've seen so far, and I've only had this to the range a few times, but again, the holster knocking some of the silicone carbide off, and it's scratching up the inside of the holster a little bit too, which, you know, who cares about that? But we'll see how durable that is. And again, for durability, the Talon grips worked real good in the rain. Didn't have to do anything to them. They stayed put. On my M17, my duty gun, Glock 22 at work, you know, they lasted for a few months, but they didn't last long term. And that's honestly, it's a gun I should shoot more. I don't shoot it a lot. So just the use and abuse, you know, that a cop puts on it on patrol, and a little bit of range time, but in and out of lockers, you know, banging in the door frames, in and out of the car, admin holster, duty holster, you know, whatever. So factory options, another factory option too, Archon Type B, right? They get a grip mapping technology, where you got those little wedges in the grip going in different directions, help grip into your hand, and you let off the gun, you'll see the imprints in your hand. So it's not just Glock that offers it. I'm sure there might be other ones out there as well. And probably a really good thing if you're thinking about having some of this stuff done is if you got a 320 or an M17, one of those, that you have the chassis you can pull out, and you can get, you know, you buy a couple of grip frame modules, and you can try different things. You could try the tape, you could try stippling, you can try silicone carbide, or maybe even try your hand at it yourself. It'll be cheaper, save money, and when the frames start to get beat up and not as grippy, you want to try replacing it yourself, and that don't work, you throw it away and do it again yourself. So a couple of options out there, and yes, I know you can, you know, get stronger grips and all of that too, but it's just another way to help you get some good control on the gun. All right, check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you have in your gun. Comment down below in the comments. If you like this, click the like, subscribe. Other than that, stay safe. I'll see you on the range.